Hey, my Pilates people, welcome to my channel, Connect and Move. My name is Jessica. Today I have for you a reformer session with a lot of focus on hip strength and hip mobility. More on the strength side. We'll get into some good stretches like throughout class and near the end. You don't need any props for today's session. We will be doing some kneeling, so if you need a pad for kneeling, go ahead and grab it. And know that you don't have to use like a proper knee pad. You can always grab a towel and just kind of roll it up or fold it up, right? That's always an option, or like a heavy sweatshirt. So spring setting to start. Gonna go pretty heavy with footwork because I really want to get some good feedback. So let's do 2 mediums and a heavy spring, right? Know that if you don't have like a really heavy spring or maybe a medium spring, you can always add in some extra lights. Just know I want the footwork to be heavy to start, okay? So lots of support for bridging, nice, good feedback. All right, so once you have all your things, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're gonna start lying down. So before we get to moving, I want you to make sure that you are centered on your carriage. Check the spacing between your hips and the carriage, and then even turn your head from right to left. Make sure that you are centered in both your upper and your lower body. So let's start with all 10 toes on, and let's be in a parallel position, hip socket distance apart. So every toe pad is connected. Okay, so big toes are a little bit more on top of the foot bar than in front. The arms are stretched down and into the mat. I want you to feel your shoulders and your chest roll open, but the ribs sink heavy. So start to settle into your neutral spine, right? Heavy tailbone, little arch in the small of your back. And now hold that shape of your spine and then press the carriage all the way out, and then drag it all the way home. So your first couple here, I just want you to check in with your spine and your pelvis and just see, right? Is there any shift, any tucking, any movement in the ribs? And you might even have to put your hands on yourself just to see. All right, taking that feedback from the mat. It's gonna tell you where you're lifting, where you're sinking. All right, and then once you feel like you got a handle on your spine and your pelvis, let's shift the focus back to your feet. Think of the heels staying still in space, equal weight across your toe pads, and also equal weight between right and left. And I know if you guys have been taking my classes for a while, I know you guys hear me say that all the time, but I have to say it out loud to check in with myself, because sometimes I get a little cocky, you know, I think like, oh, I've done this so many times, I'm good to go. But every time I say it, it's like, oh, maybe I could iron that out just a little bit more. All right, go ahead and press the carriage all the way out. Hold here for a second. Check your Pilates boxes. Let the top of the thighs lengthen a little bit more, and now push the heels under the foot bar and then lift the heels up. So the whole time you do this, I want you to think of the back of the legs dragging across the floor. A lot of times we're like in a hurry to just yank the heels up, but think of those heels dragging low and then they sweep up. Let's do 3 and 2. Try to go full range. Last one, lift the heels up, bend your knees, bring the carriage in halfway, and now little pulses of the carriage out an inch and in an inch. Think of it as a push-pull. Try to find a pull down on the foot bar as much as you can. Thighs should look like a number 11. We have 3, 2, 1. Press the carriage all the way out, and now bring it in halfway again. Make sure your tailbone is heavy, your pelvis is level. And now lower your right heel down as your left heel lifts, and then switch. So kind of like how we do for running or prancing with our legs or with the carriage all the way out, only now it's how stable can you keep the carriage, your pelvis, your spine, all the things. And you're trying to go full range. So we're flexing as we drive that heel down, and we're kind of pointing as we lift the heel up. Takes a lot more focus than we think. Let's do 3 and 2 and 1. Lift the heels back up and now press the carriage all the way out and then bring it all the way in. Awesome. Let's come on to the arches. Hip socket distance apart. Focus today more on the heels reaching down and under. All right, so again, pull down on that foot bar. I'm already getting a stretch in the back of my ankles, and that's what I'm gonna be fighting for the whole time. So press the carriage out. Here, obviously the stretch is not gonna be great on the ankles, and then drag the carriage in, pull down, down, down. Again, press it out, pull down. Make sure that tailbone stays heavy, especially as the carriage comes home. Because the more you pull down, the more you might actually feel like, oh my goodness, I wanna my hips wanna lift up into bridge. But don't let that happen. We'll get in some good bridging here in a minute. Pull down on that foot bar. I can start to feel my booty, my legs kick on a little bit more on that down. Let's do 3. Remember, your neckline is still long. We're always trying to grow taller. Last one, pull down. Wow, my booty is at the party right now. All right, heels come on. Still hip socket. Wiggle your toes, and now just think of them looking up to the ceiling. So they're not quite pulling back, they're just looking up to the ceiling. Weight into the center of your heels, press the carriage all the way out, and then resist back home. So can you now find that same pull down on the foot bar as you come in? It's a little bit harder connection to find. But if you think about it, every time your heels are on, you'll eventually start to kick and wake things up and on. Let's do 3. Check the weight in your heels, right and left are equal. 2. Last one, bring the carriage in halfway, hold here. Tailbone is heavy. Can you find a little bit more of that pull down on the foot bar and little pulses out an inch and in an inch? Even if that doesn't make sense for you today, just keep working all the other things. The equal weight into the center of the heel, the toes looking up. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press it all the way out and then resist all the way back home. Inch away from the blocks a little bit, just so you have some room for your bridge. And let's stay with the heels on hip socket distance apart. Take a big breath in, and then on your exhale, I want you to tilt your pelvis back and just find a tiny tailbone hover and hold. So my ribs are still bolted to the mat. It's just my pelvis that's now lifted off of the mat. Just keep holding here, keep scooping out the low abdominals, finding the work into the inner thighs, and then just melt, melt, melt. Let's do that again. Pelvis tilts back, little tailbone hover. And now, because we have a really heavy spring on, I want you to take your hands into your upper thighs, kind of like right above your hip creases, and I want you to push your thighs to the foot bar as you roll down, roll down, roll down. So we're just kind of tractioning the spine here. Again, roll your hips up. Let the neck and the chest relax. Push the thighs away as you roll down, roll down, roll down. Now when you do this, try not to let the upper body come with you. You're trying to keep your upper body into the mat. And then lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. I'm hoping this feels really good. Last one here. Pubic bone to navel, and then push into your thighs. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Oh, that feels so good on my upper back. All right, take your arms down now to the mat again. Big breath in. Let's go a little bit bigger. Exhale, pelvis rolls back. Peel the hips up, up, up. Hold here at the top. I want everybody to think of closing your sitting bones, squeezing your butt cheeks, driving your pubic bone up, 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 and then roll back down, down, down. So for those of you that have really crampy hamstrings, right, I want you to just talk to your cheeks right now. Tell your booty that you need your booty right now, right now. It's the only thing you need.
Again, roll your hips up. Think of closing your backside. Drive your pubic bone up, keeping the chest soft, and then round down, round down, round down. Again here, roll the hips up, find your butt cheeks, find them, find them, find them. Pause here, lower the hips down an inch and up an inch. Stay connected to your seat. Don't let them relax as your hips go down an inch. You stay connected. For 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Lengthen as you roll all the way down. Find that same tractioning like you did with your hands on your thighs. Awesome work. Let's take the feet a little bit wider, still on your heels. So they're about shoulder width distance, maybe a little bit wider. There's a natural turnout because of the width. Arms are still weighting into the mat. Roll your hips up, up, up. Once again, find your booty, find your booty, find your butt crease muscles. You're gonna keep your pelvis stable, and now bring your knees together, all the way together, all the way together. Wow, that's extra hard today. And then open the knees back out. Bring the knees together, 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 and then back out. If you'd like to make things more challenging, the arms can go up to the ceiling, but that carriage stays into the stopper. And that's what's so great about having a heavy spring. So we're going from internal rotation to external rotation. Squeeze your knees together, squeeze your knees together, and then open. That's the most important part here. Squeeze the knees together. They're not just like tapping, they're kissing. 2, I love this one. There's my hips starting to loosen up. Last one here, bring your knees together, knees together. Are they together? Are they together? And then lower your hips down an inch and up an inch. Yes, that was necessary. Now as your hips go up and down, you gotta keep your knees bolted together, y'all. For 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Open the knees back out to that start position. Now let your right hip drop a little bit. You're gonna roll down your right side and then roll over to your left side and then roll up your left side. So now we're just doing a bridge with kind of like a corkscrew action. Find center with your hips. Left hip drops a little bit and then roll down your left side. Left hip is gonna hit, roll over to your right hip and then roll up your right side. The knees are gonna shift a little bit, but try not to let it be like crazy excessive. Right hip goes down, roll down, and then over to the left hip, roll up, find center. Last one here, roll down your left side. Oh, get a nice stretch there. Over to the right side, roll up, roll up, roll up, find center, and then roll down, roll down, roll down. Awesome work. Relax for a second, let your toes wiggle out. And now drop your knees over to the left and look over that right shoulder. Hopefully the hips are properly warmed up now. And then up and over to the right, look over your left shoulder. And I know I said this is gonna be a hip focused class, and it is for sure, but we are gonna do a little bit of ab work, okay? So let's go ahead and roll you up. And then let's drop down to 1 medium spring. 1 medium spring. So for my balanced body, it's a red spring. Leave your foot bar up and then go ahead and lie down. Headrest can come back up or it can stay down. Let's take your hands into the short loops. Wrap your fists around, punch your fists up to the ceiling. So leave your feet resting on the foot bar to start because I just want to get you set up. Find that broad collarbone so armpits kind of glide down your side body. Can you sink the ribs into the mat? And can you also sink your back into the mat without tucking your pelvis? So it's almost like you're holding a neutral pelvis, but trying to sink the belly and the front body into the back body. Do your best with that. Bring your legs up into tabletop. Squeeze your inner thighs together, pelvis hasn't tucked, and then lower the arms all the way down, and then float them all the way back up. So the harder position with the legs is really the legs away from the body a little bit more rather than like knees into your chest. So hopefully if you're looking at me right now on the screen, my knees are not directly over my hips, or at least that's what it feels like. They feel like they're really far away from me right now. And again, the base of your ribs are super glued to the mat right now. Now lower the arms all the way down. If it's available, I want you to nod your chin. Peel your head, neck, and shoulders off the mat without tucking your pelvis. You're looking down at your stomach. You've got a strong punch out through the fists, all right? Send your left leg out and away, and then pull it in. Your right leg out and away, and pull it in. Let's do 3 and 2. Keep looking down at your stomach. Last one. Now we're gonna add on. Thread your right leg under the foot bar, push up into the foot bar, and then bring it back in. Left leg under the foot bar, push up into the foot bar, and back in. Hopefully that's harder. Don't let your ribs pop as you push up. Careful if you don't have a locking foot bar. Push up, bring the knee in, float the arms back up, lower the head back down. Again, arms come down, curl the head, neck, and shoulders up if it's for you. Can you send both legs away from your body? And then pull them back in. Both legs away, rib sink, rib sink, rib sink, and back in. Inhale away, and exhale back in. 2 more, inhale away, exhale back in. Nice control, nice control. Away, back in, float the arms up, lower everything down. Nice work, all right. Let's now take the straps, the long loops, and put them on our thighs. So not on the feet, on the thighs. I think I did this a while back, but I think I had a lighter spring on. So let's do it again today, okay? So not nearly as big of range when we have the feet into the straps, so just be aware of that. So arms are weighted down, straighten the legs up to the ceiling, and then find that heavy tailbone, find the back and the ribs into the mat as best you can, okay? Now you're gonna keep that like that, and then lower the legs down a little bit, and then lift the legs up. So I know I said arms into the mat, but it's really good feedback if you place your hand either on your stomach or your low ribs. And that way you can really feel if things are shifting and moving. Shaking is one thing, but shifting is another. Think no daylight between those legs. And your legs are razor straight, much smaller. Now lower the legs down to your working angle, sink the ribs, and then open the legs out, lift the legs up, and then bring the legs together. Little circles here. And if you're like me that has a really hard time getting the ribs into the mat, it might even feel like you're rounding in your upper back to get them down. Last one. Anybody else feeling your thighs right now? Hold at the top, we reverse. Told you hips, hip flexors are a part of it. As those legs lift up to 90, could you get them straighter and longer? I don't know if you guys can see these ropes, but they are shaking like crazy. Legs lift up. Stable spine, stable pelvis. It's the name of the game. Last one. Oh, my thighs are on fire. Lift the legs up, hold here. I want you to flex your feet and then find internal rotation. Find external rotation. Internal rotation. External rotation. Internal, external. Tapping at your hips, y'all. Internal, so these ropes or your strap should be kind of rotating in and out. Now find internal rotation. Open the legs wide, and now point your toes. Find external rotation, bring your legs together. Flex your feet, internal rotation, push the heels wide apart. Holy cannoli, point your toes, external rotation, bring the legs together. Flex your feet, internal. Open, push wide, 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 wide. Point the toes, external rotation, come in. 2 more. You guys got this. Pull the heels apart, pull the heels apart. Oh, I am shaking right now. Oh, last one. Good, kneecaps stay looking at one another as they go wide. Point the toes, external, come all the way in. Bend the knees into the chest. Wow. And we're still lying on our back. Love it, y'all. Take the straps off. Hang up your straps, and now let's roll you up. All right, so let's come up to standing. My right foot is gonna be onto the floor. My left foot is gonna go up against the shoulder block. So we're gonna do a little bit of variation on our Eve's lunge. Because I don't know about you, but I need a hip flexor stretch like crazy. So staying on the 1 medium spring. So again, it's still on that 1 red for my balanced body people out there. My right toes are gonna be facing forward, and I'm gonna have my leg as close into the reformer as I can without it like hindering the movement of my knee and my calf and all that, all right? So hands can be on the foot bar, it's totally up to you. Let's just do a couple really stretchy press outs. I have a really high reformer, so my knee is gonna be down. Some of you, your knee might be up, all right? But I just want you to find a stretch in the front of your hip and then go ahead and bring the carriage back in. All right, let's do that just a couple more times. We'll get into some details here in a second. And then back in. All right, last one here. Press it out and then bring it back in. Okay, so keeping your hand, maybe hands on the foot bar. I want you to, I've got a soft bend in my right knee, but I want you to think of your left hip spiraling forward, your right hip spiraling back, so that should hopefully square you off. I'm also gonna think of that left hip lifting up to my ribs, and that right there, I just felt a deeper stretch in my left thigh, okay? Think of driving right through the back or the center of your back heel, and now we press the carriage back. If you can, try to keep your left knee hovering, and then I want you to hold here in this back lunge. Your right knee is right over the center of your foot, okay? Your ribs are in, and that right there just deepened the stretch and also took the stress out of my back. And then go ahead and bring the carriage all the way in. Try to keep the back leg straight. If that means your upper body has to hinge forward, that's fine. And then drag it back in. Think inner thigh connection here, even though the legs are split. And then drag it back in. One more. Keep lifting that front hip up, left hip up to your rib, left hip up to your rib. Wow, I wanna do one more like that because there's another cue. I hope that'll help you. Go back into that lunge, left hip up to rib, and now flex that back foot like crazy. Drive your heel back, like you're pulling your toes towards your shin. Did that change the stretch in your thigh? It did for me. Maybe, maybe not. And then bring it all the way in. All right, so if you can take your hand off the foot bar, right, try to do that. I want you to go into that lunge. You can either be upright or forward, it doesn't matter. Hold here, check your boxes, hips are square, inner thighs, hip up to rib, all the things. All right, so now your front leg, can you straighten the knee? That will press the carriage back a little bit and then bring the knee forward. So it's almost like we're just sliding the knee back a little bit. Maybe the leg goes straight, maybe it doesn't, and then slide the knee forward. Back heel stays driving into the, whatchamacallit back there. So this is a play on your back splits, your front splits. The lower the hips are, I feel like the harder this is gonna be. But I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel some good stuff happening on the side of my right hip. Remember, you can always have your hand down. Yowza, yep. Remember, keep your ribs in so your stomach is still supporting your back. For 3. Back Back leg is strong. 2, wow, hello hip, there it is, there it is. Almost seized up on me. Now, bring that knee right over the center of your foot. Check all your boxes. Your front heel, could you lift it and lower it? Lift it and lower it. Lift it and lower it. So torso doesn't move, back leg doesn't move, hips are not going up and down, it's just that heel. Let's do 3, or we're trying. I'm a bad example, I can feel my back leg moving. Last one, lower the heel down and then bring it all the way in. Okay, let's do the other side. Let's do it. Holy cannoli. Okay, let's get you set up. So let's just do a few of those kind of stretchy, like where we want to go. Let's indulge. Let's press the carriage back and then drag it in. Press it back and drag it in. One more time. Press it back and come all the way in. Okay, so now, if it's available, right? Oh, forgive me. Let's press it back. Let's press it back. So let's check all the boxes on this side. Forgive me. So if you can, that back knee is going to hover. So that leg is trying to go straight, right? My front knee over the center of my foot. My left toes are pointing forward. Right hip is going to think of coming forward. Left hip going to go back. And that right hip is going to try to lift up to the rib. Actively flex your back foot. I know it's a lot of boxes to check. And then bring the carriage all the way in. Again, press it back. So we're just keeping that back leg straight. We're just now going into more of an intentful lunge as opposed to indulging. And since we know where this is going to be going, right, you might even start to feel that left hip kick on a little bit. Let's do 2 more. Last one, inner thighs, find them, and then come all the way in. All right, take your hands off the foot bar if you can. Press the carriage back. So we're starting with that left knee somewhat over the center of the foot. Hands can be anywhere makes your heart happy. Glide that left knee back and then glide it forward. Glide it back, glide it forward. Again, you might have to have more of a forward lean. Like for me, I feel like I do. My left low back is just a little cranky. And the more you think of those ribs in, that should support the spine a little bit more. And the lower your hips are, the more it should work into the hips. Woo! Definitely feel a little off on this side. Like I'm just not quite cooperating. Let's do 3. Back leg is strong, like a pillar. And 2. Ooh, I'm shaking. Last one. Knee comes over the center of your foot. Lift the heel and lower it. Try to go full range here. All the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. Think like you've got a ball between your legs, even though they're split. Hug in on that ball. Hug in on the ball with the upper thigh bones. For 4, there's more of the hip. 3, and 2, and 1. Heel comes down and drag it all the way in. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so for those of you that need a knee pad, if you don't already have it out, go ahead and grab it. Just place it down here on your carriage. And let's just do a quick stretch before we do anything else. So my hands are gonna come onto the shoulder blocks here. I'm going to cross my right knee or shin, whatever I can, just be mindful of the foot bar behind you. All right, so both knees, both shins are down. You're gonna try to if you can, okay? I'm gonna shift my hips back. My left knee just lifted off of the mat, that's okay. I'm just gonna shift my hips back. My chest is gonna come forward and I'm gonna breathe into that tight place. For me, I'm feeling this stretch in the side of my left hip. When you're here, let your body kind of rock back and forth. Maybe even adding a little twist, a little side bend. Oh, that feels magical. Okay, and go ahead and come forward and let's switch sides. So left knee over the right shin. Carefully shift the hips back. Geez, my left hip is so tight, I'm still feeling the stretch there. My right hip is like, what are we doing? Oh, and then again, find some like, I don't know, some twists, maybe some like rocks from side to side. See where you need to go. Yeah, that is all in my left hip. Okay, let's shift the body forward. Let's bring the knees up against the shoulder blocks. All right, so I feel like every teacher has taught this, reverse knee stretches. And I feel like so many people get focused on wanting to move the carriage a lot, and that's really not the goal, okay? I want you to focus on connecting to your stomach, all right? That's the focus, okay? Even if the carriage moves a ½ inch. So I'm gonna walk my hands forward a little bit, all right, onto the frame, of course. I'm gonna pull myself forward just a hair, just enough to where I'm not into the stopper. And I'm thinking of a long line out through the crown of my head and out through my tailbone. My sternum is lifting up away from the floor because right now I'm technically doing a plank. So I'm not sagging in my shoulder girdle. I'm lifting up and I'm kind of thinking of like pulling my carriage apart a little bit. All right, hopefully that kicked on some shoulder girdle, some lats. Now, I'm already starting to shake just holding and talking to you right now. Can you push your shins and the tops of your feet down into the mat a little bit more? Did anybody else start to shake, even if it was the smallest shift you've ever done? And just hold here, and then just relax. Okay, it's very tiny, but notice how that push down maybe felt like you lifted up through the stomach. That's okay. It's okay to round a little bit there. I'd much rather you round than arch your back, right? So let's do that again. Bring yourself forward a little bit more. So you're in a little bit of spring tension. Hopefully knees under hips, hands under your shoulders. Push into the tops of your feet and your shins and keep that. Do not lose it. And now round your spine to pull the carriage in. Think of pulling it in with your toes. And then flatten your back out. Knees go underneath the hips. Heart comes forward. Again, drop your head, round, pull your toes into the carriage. Lift, round, 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 and then back out. Wow. Oh yeah. Round. Pull your toes into the mat. And then back out. All right. Hold your long flat back. Can you send your right leg back behind you? All right, now we do the same thing here, just 3 on each side. Dig your toes into the mat, round, pull the carriage in, drop your tailbone, and then back out. Keep the toe connection, 2 more. Push into the arms, round, 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 and then back out. It's almost like that knee could just lift up because you're pushing so hard down into your toes. Find that long line. Right knee down, left leg out. Square off into the hips, right toes into the mat, round. Pull the carriage in. Oh, this side's way harder. And back out. It's like my toes don't want to cooperate. Drag it in, round, dig the toes in, dig the shin, dig the top of the foot in, and back out, last one. Square off into those hips, y'all. Round, 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 and back out. Shin down, bring the carriage in. Yeah, that was something. That was good, that was good. It's so crazy hard to keep your shins down, but again, I'm hoping you notice that's part of the opposition, all right? All right, so enough TED Talk. Let's bring you to a light spring. So for balanced body, I'm gonna do a blue spring.
For those of you who have two like really light springs, go one heavier than your lightest. Let's start with your left leg. Let's do it. So I'm kneeling somewhat in this quadruped position, so knees under hips, my hands are on the shoulder blocks. I'm gonna take my left long loop and I'm going to place it around the top of my thigh. So just like we did for feet and straps. So I was thinking about those of you out there that have really low reformers and that whole like leg series out and back. It's very hard for you guys. So let's do it with the strap around the thigh. So I'm a little over to the left, right? Because I just don't want the strap hitting my shoulder block, all right? So now I want you to push down through your right shin as much as you can. So the knee might even like lift off the mat, right? All I want you to do is now your left knee is hovering, open the leg out to the side and then pull it back in. Let's do a flex of that left foot and back in. So right now you are in a plank position with your spine, right? So your sternum is lifting up, you're pushing into your hands, you're think of lifting up through the abdominals. And if at any point you start to feel this in your low back, just let your spine round a little bit. That's it. Might limit you, that's okay. Let's do two. Last one. Now I want you to lift the leg out to the side. Try to keep the carriage still and now straighten the leg out and bend it back in. Lower the leg down, lift the leg out, try to straighten the leg and then back in. Holy cannoli. Let's continue with that. Now, if you don't have enough space beside you, if you're hitting the floor, do what you can, okay? Whew, I needed a little break there. Now, what's very tempting is as my leg goes out, as my leg goes straighten, my hips want to shift over to the right. But I want you to try to keep your right hip, right knee, right shin super stable throughout all this. And that really, I feel like, is the challenge here because my right hip is starting to burn. We have two. Last one. Good. Bring the knee in. And now I want you to pull the knee into your chest, round your spine. And now flatten your back out as your leg lifts up behind you. Now, with it lifting up behind you, you got to pull the ribs in, maybe even round a little bit. And now pull the knee in, round even more. Leg goes back out and push up and then back in. So the reason why I'm cueing around is because a lot of times when I see people kick the leg back, we want to just dump in the low back because we want to make this a really big move. No, 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 no. Kind of defeat the purpose there. Wow, stuffing things. For three. So think about making your tailbone longer as that heel drives up to the sky. That's two. My right hip is on fire, y'all. Last one. Bring it in, lower the knee down. Okay, got a whole nother side to do. Let's do it. Let's gracefully take the strap off. Wow. And I forgot to mention you can come down onto your forearms here. You can always find a different hand position, right? Please do you. All right, let's do it. Let's see if I can remember all the things. Hopefully I didn't block something from my memory. All right, on the thigh, hands are down. I'm gonna try to keep my left hip over my left knee. All right, so I'm gonna keep my right knee bent. I'm gonna lift up through my ribs and my stomach and my chest. My right foot's gonna go flexed. I'm gonna just open the leg out to the side and then back in. Yeah, this side's already harder, already harder. And I'm also gonna try to not let the carriage move. So I'm not gonna let that strap pull my knee forward. It just goes right out to the side and back in. Sides of the neck are long. And you're pushing down into as much of your left shin as you possibly can. So I'm hoping for those of you that typically don't like to kneel a lot, that should take some pressure off the knee. I'm hoping. Oh my goodness. Try not to contort the spine to get that leg up higher. I can feel myself wanting to do that. Woo. Let's do 2. And 1. Now the leg goes out. Can you straighten it out? Jeez, and back in. This is terrible. Who thought of this? Who wanted to do this today? I gotta be honest, it's a huge positive to doing these videos because I feel like you guys are holding me accountable, because I don't know if I would do this on my own. You guys are amazing. Trying to distract myself from this. Try to keep that left hip over your left knee, y'all. Or just hold it stable. Wow. Keep your right foot flexed. Check your neck, check your shoulders. Why is this side so hard? Woo. We have 2. And last one, bring the knee in, okay? Now, bring it into your chest, round your spine, okay? Keep just that slight rounding. Drive your right heel up. Now, with your right heel driving up, lift your ribs up away from the floor, y'all. Lift them up, lift them up, lift them up, and then pull them back in, or pull the knee back in. Drive your heel up. All right, let's add some breath on this side. I want you to exhale as you drive your right heel up to the sky, and then inhale as it comes in. So kind of opposite of what feels maybe natural. But the exhale should help you find more support through your stomach. Ooh, exhale, drive up. Let's do 3 more, y'all. Ooh, 3. Keep hugging the midline of your body. 2. Last one. And then place the knee down. Wow, that was something. That was something, all right. Let's take that strap off. All right, so let's now spin you around. We're gonna be facing the foot bar, and then let's put on 2 medium springs. So I'm gonna take my light spring off. I'm gonna have 2 mediums, that's 2 reds for balanced body. Still keep with your knee pad, okay? Now, we're just gonna do our kneeling front splits. If putting your foot up here on the foot bar is not for you, you can always come down into like a lower position with your foot bar, or you can always place your foot on your front platform here, okay? So we have lots of options. So I'm gonna start with my left foot up against the shoulder block and my right foot, right toes, balls of the feet up onto my foot bar here, okay? So I'm gonna find a strong connection through my back foot, my back heel as much as I can, and I'm just gonna pull myself forward. And I'm gonna think more about driving my left hip forward than anything. Nice, like really deep thigh stretch. So all the things that we did standing, apply it here, all right? And then when you're ready, you can press the carriage out, press it out, and then pull it back in. Ooh, my knee didn't like that one. Press it out, and then pull it back in. So let's add on a little bit more detail here. Press it out. Think of that left hip lifting up to your ribs, and then pull it back in. Now stay in here with me. I want you to pull or push down on that foot bar. Your heel is gonna drive down, so you might get a little stretch here, but it also might pull that right hip down a little bit more. So right hip goes to left inner thigh, left hip's coming forward. So again, there's all these arrows of opposition. And now press the carriage out. And then drag it back in. One more like that. So taking you right back to footwork, that pull down. Now I want you to take your left arm up to the ceiling, side bend up and over to the right. Big, big breath into those side ribs. And then exhale yourself back up. All right, so if you need, shift your weight back so it just takes some pressure off the knee. And now I want you to take your right hand off, just have it on your knee, your thigh, wherever. And then can you drop that right knee out to the side and then lift it back up? So we're just kind of fanning the knee. Lift it up, or push it out and then back up. Now, if you can, take your right arm up to the ceiling. Now as your knee goes out to the side, can you side bend over to the left and then lift it back up? 2 more like that. Knee goes out, we side bend to the left and up. Last one. Let yourself lean back. You might even get a little thigh stretch here. And up, place the hand down. Awesome, let's do the other side. Woo, hips are still shaky. All right, left foot up, alley-oop. Try to make sure that you're still hip socket distance here so we don't have our left foot all the way over to the left side of wherever you have it. So drive that right hip forward, pull yourself forward. And since we know where we're going here, because we've done it on the other side, as you're driving your hips forward, can you already do that pull down on the foot bar with your left foot? So I'm driving my left heel down. So hopefully that'll kind of sink my left hip back a little bit. And then when you're ready, press the carriage out and then drag it in. Some days when we do these front splits, like especially in the advanced classes, I will tell you to like keep your heel lifted and kind of still in space. Not today. It's always about what's the intent, right? Now go ahead and press the carriage out. Let's check some boxes here. So I'm gonna keep pushing back through my right heel, but I'm gonna think of that right hip lifting up to my rib. My left knee is not swiveling out, it's not swiveling in, it's right in line with my second and third toes. And then drag it back in. On this side, because I'm tighter, I notice that knee wants to like go out to the side here. But I'm gonna think of pulling it in. A couple more here. Breathe into those tight places and drag it back in. One more. And back in. All right, keep the carriage in. Find again that kind of pull down. And I'm even taking like my left arm and I'm hugging it into my left thigh. So again, it just reinforces that in, closer to my midline. Forgive me, I'm thinking right now. And then my right arm comes up and over, finds that side bend. Think length from your right fingers all the way down to your right knee. And then hand comes down. Now do whatever you like with your left hand. All right, I'm gonna swivel the knee out to the side and then back in. And then back in. And so on this side, I have to pivot on my foot a lot more for whatever reason. This side is just funky. And if you'd like, you can take your left hand and kind of push on that knee if it feels okay and back up. If you want to stay with that, go for it. Otherwise, left arm is going to come up. I'm going to side bend over to the right and then back up. 2 more times. Up and over, squeeze that right butt cheek. And then back up, last one. And back up. Woo, we're done. Geez, even that last stretch was a lot of work. That was awesome. That was awesome. I didn't think the class was gonna be that long, but you know, here we are. Here we are at like, you know, probably just under 50 minutes. I appreciate you as always. Let me know what you thought of this, and I hope to see you again. Thanks, y'all.